Hello, welcome to my bookcase again. This is me reviewing the best thing in the history of white rum, according to the internet. This is Probitas, um, also known as Veritas in the rest of the world, where they don't have the ridiculous copywriting lawsuit issues that the US does. So basically, this is a project from the Foursquare distillery and the Foursquare brand. This is blended by Richard Seale, who runs Foursquare. And there's a lot of Foursquare. So it's a blend of different things, right? So it's a blend of coffee still, column still distillate from Foursquare. Elsewhere on the internet, they claim there's a little bit of pot still in there, but it doesn't say it on the back. Some of that's aged, some of it isn't. With a little bit of pot still rum as well, but it's a blend of Foursquare's own stock with some stock they got from Hampden in Jamaica. Now it's the lightest pot still rum that Hampden makes, but it's still Hampden. So that all this should initially strike you as a little bit weird, because you kind of have to ask, okay, why is this Probitas or Veritas, depending on where you are, and not Foursquare? And why is there Hampden in it? Like, basically, why isn't this just, a white Foursquare, an unaged Foursquare, right? We will get into that question in a little bit, because I think it requires understanding a little bit about the Foursquare brand and the distillery itself. But let's get some sort of initial tasting notes on the table. So what I want to do is give you a first run through, add a little bit of water, try it again, give you a score, and we'll have a little conversation about Probitas on the way. Nose. Okay, so the Hampden, if you know Hampden, it's sort of absolutely cutting through, dominating here. There's it's that sort of cherry cola note, which is just the signature for me of anything which has got Hampden in it. But it's not like punching me in the face like they're on fire. This is much more measured. It's more floral actually, and sort of aromatic. Sort of floral elements, honey, like just kind of a mix of like wildflower honey and maybe like different fruit blossom honeys. Also something metallic in there, like you made like a bag full of quarters or something, and you sort of sniffed it, or maybe like we've got a jar of coins in there. Maybe if I took a nosing of that. There's no real citric note, no lime peel, no pickles, no real olives in this. Much more sort of straightforward and clean than that. Sort of, there's a little like maybe seawater and like old timey candy, maybe not candy corn. More the pumpkin things from Halloween. Cotton candy too, maybe. A little hint of vanilla in there. Just like half a vanilla bean. That's probably from the cast aged portion of this. On the palate, yeah, very similar. Nice, clean. This is bottled at 47% alcohol, so 94 proof, higher than most white rums, unless we get into the sort of, I guess, unless we go to Jamaica, but we'll get there in a second. Again, the Hampden is sort of leading the way with that cherry note, a little unripe, mix of unripe and sort of overripe bananas. But then that sort of floral element, kind of dried flowers, sugary, like rock candy, just straight up rock candy. little minerally, like little flint, like you're trying to start a fire or something. Honey again, more like Manuka honey. This like a heavier honey. Something. There's a little bit of a citrus thing, but it's not really like. Hang on. Yeah, it's not really like lemon. It's more like limoncello. Went to Italy and a bunch of monks were selling limoncello on the sidewalk or something, and you bought a bottle of it. This is just a lovely, nice product. It is not complicated, but it's nice. I like it. I enjoy drinking it. So what I'm going to do is give it a little squirt of water, and let's talk about Foursquare. So Foursquare in recent years has kind of become the hottest rum distillery and brand in the sphere of rum, I guess. So obviously they're on Barbados. It's not an old distillery. They only sort of started up, I guess, in the 90s. But the main thing to know about the Foursquare brand is they don't put out crap. I think that's how they built their reputation. Sort of Zinfandel cask finishes aside, if it comes out on the Foursquare label, it's going to be pretty good. Everyone does the Zinfandel finish thing once, Richard. Don't do it again, but we can forgive you. So here's an example. I just bought this. This is the Foursquare 2007. I paid a lot of money for it, but annoyingly, I think it's actually still a value. So I will be reviewing that once I can get my bearings with it and find a sparring partner. The point is, like people, it's a name that's sort of associated with quality now, and the distillery itself is nothing magical. They have a big industrial, I think a double column still, and they got a pot still, and they sort of blend together the two distillates. And that's the setup that's kind of everyone's got, right? What makes Foursquare special is kind of the quality of their wood, their barrels. I think they put a lot of work into that. And just the fact that they seem to put a lot of attention into quality control for what they're selling. It's been incredibly successful for them. So one of the questions you can ask is, well, why haven't they put out a white rum? And this goes back to like, why isn't this just so why is there no white rum out on the Foursquare name? Again, you have to go to the independent bottlers basically to find any bad bottles of Foursquare out there. Even those are pretty good usually. Now you can find white rum that was distilled at Foursquare. Real McCoy and Dooley's, which are independent bottlings, will both sell you one of those weird sort of aged and then de-aged through the Cuban filtering process things that I don't really understand. But they don't really have a following, and certainly nothing like this is picked up on the internet. So, one thing you can ask from the fact that there's no straight Foursquare branded white rum out there is, well, maybe the unaged Foursquare distillate just isn't very nice, and that's fine, right? Plenty of distilleries in Scotland. Let's start with Springbank. Great distilleries have distillate which needs to go into cask for a while, and it's that sort of combination of a slightly unpleasant spirit with a cask which kind of makes the magic happen. But my theory would be, if one way to explain the existence of this thing is, if you need to sell quality products because that's your brand, good quality rum, but your unaged rum isn't very good, you need to find some way of making a Foursquare rum that isn't just a Foursquare, white rum. And I think that's what they figured out here. They figured out, well, if you throw a little bit of Hampden into it, suddenly, that kind of smooths things out a little bit. It sort of brings things together. This is a theory, but I think it makes a kind of sense. So let's come back to this with water. Okay. Nose with a squirt of water in it. Actually gets more metallic. There's kind of the jar of coins has started attacking me in my face a little bit, and there's just a little bit of a note of sort of like just kind of industrial ethanol creeping in through the Hampden. Every sort of the Hampden and the honey thing, all that's still there. It's just like the coins and a little bit of alcohol have started to creep in. Okay, on the palate. Okay, yeah, the two distillates are kind of starting to separate a little bit. I mean, they work together, but it's kind of like some clothing you can see the seams, where in others like you can't. You can kind of, it's kind of like that. It's not like they're coming apart. It's like you can see where they're connected together. There's a little. Okay, so first of all, there's a nice like sweet cream, buttery, almost like a sweetened whipped cream thing on the back end, which is nice. But there's also kind of like the metallic thing is also pretty strong. Yeah. Ooh, some fennel actually. Rock candy, still, still, a little bit of cherry cola in the mix, but I'm really getting like just the metallic note. It's like that the sort of metal mesh you use to kind of clean your sink. This is kind of like chewing on that a little bit. It's not ruining this for me by any means, but it's just sort of showing the what I would think might be the sort of roughness of the Foursquare distillate. I get this a little bit too in their aged versions, but it's sort of much more mellowed by the cask. Okay, one more shot. Still very clean. Still held together nicely, but not super complex. And yeah, just have that sort of metallic thing, which again isn't ruining it for me, which is kind of showing, why they had to make it like this and rather than a straight white rum kind of approach. Hi, sorry about the pause. My wife, who's amazing, got the door. Okay, so coming together, I'm going to give this an 84 out of 100. So it's kind of in the middle, right? It's not, it's not going to the heavens, and it's not, but it certainly doesn't suck. This is good stuff. And you notice like a lot of things about this are kind of in the middle, right? It's not, just a high industrial column still stuff like Bacardi or stuff, things like that. It's not, but it's also not, heavy Jamaican pot still stuff. It's kind of blend of those two. It's not bottled at 40%, but it's also not bottled, at 63 or whatever it is. It's bottled at 47.5 in the middle, right? Character-wise, it's kind of in the middle. But the only place where it isn't necessarily in the middle is the price. I mean, the big Jamaican overproofs are around $30. The Bacardis and stuff are, 12, 13, somewhere like that. Most. So you would think that this would fall in the middle, but this is actually price-wise up there with the Jamaicans, right? And that's kind of what is throws me a little bit on this, because, okay, I mean, it makes sense to, like, why does it cost that much? And you could say, like, well, but it's not trying to be, a Jamaican rum. It's trying to be, a better version of Bacardis and the sort of mixing white rums, right? Except it has Hampden in it, right? So what is this doing? What is its sort of place in the market when it's costs the same? And I mean, you could then argue, well, they can price it where they want because this is a unique product. It's not, because it is a blend of of heavy pot still stuff and column distilled stuff, bottled at a slightly higher proof. That's pretty unique in the marketplace, right? It's not like there's a lot of those, and that, I think, presents this with the real problem that it faces, which is this. This is Wray Nephew Overproof White. It is also a blend of heavy pot still rum and column distilled rum. It's all Jamaica. It's nothing from Barbados on there, but still. And it's also bottled at slightly higher proof. Not 47, but 63. So this is winning on it, and it's cheaper. This is about $24 in my area as opposed to $30. Now, it wouldn't be fair to sort of compare these two, right out of the bottle, right? Because this is so much stronger, it's going to blow my mouth out. So if I could take one that's proofed down, here's one that I made earlier, as the saying goes. So we're comparing, oranges with oranges here, as much as possible. These are rums roughly in the same style, mixes of pot and column distilled. So let's see what they're like. Okay, there's that. Okay. Surprisingly, these are actually the flavors are different, but the way they're constructed is actually very similar. On the nose with the Probitas, it's the Hampden. It's that sort of fermenting cherry cola thing. This also has a top note, which I'm guessing is from the pot distillate. It's more like vegetable, candied vegetables or something. It's like candied root vegetables, really. And the palate. Foursquare is good. Wray Nephew. Oh. Yeah, this is just feels much more put together. Here you can see the seams. Here you really can't. The column distillate feels like it's much more integrated into the pot stuff. Given the choice between these two, even at equal prices, I would go through, and even at equal strengths, I would probably go with the Wray Nephew. But not to say that the Foursquare is bad at all. And that's probably the message I want you to take away from this. This is not bad at all. In fact, I think this is a value in the sort of wide scope of things. Wide scope of all spirits, right? It's just that, rum around $30 is such a, killer value area. It's just full of sharks that'll eat you alive, in terms of value. This is by no means, in Banks 5 Island, whatever the hell it is. This is good. It's just not, up there with the others. So as a comparative example, think of like Shakespeare in Love or something, right? Independent movie, right? Funny, well made. Leave the producers and their histories out of it for the moment. Like, it's the independent movie. Like, you kind of want to root for it, and it was very successful. It made tons of money, and it won the Oscar for the year. But so nothing bad to say about Shakespeare in Love. The question you have to raise is it actually better than Saving Private Ryan or Out of Sight, Dark City? You can kind of go down the list of all these other movies, right? and a lot of them are sort of big studio stuff, so you don't want to root for them. But can you really say Shakespeare in Love is kind of the one you would go for? That's kind of where we are with this rum. I feel like it's good. The problem is there's just so much in that sort of similar price range that I think outshines this. So that's kind of all I got. I will review the Foursquare 2007 whenever I get the time, and I'm going to sign off. Thanks very much for watching, and cheers.